I'm here with Pro Tour Hall of Famer Luis Scott Vargas. Luis, you like to draft a sweet deck. And there's a lot of sweet uncommons that we get a lot of opportunities to build around, but sometimes there's a sweet rare, and we might not have as much experience with that. What do I do if I open up a Fevered Visions?
You probably don't take it, first of all. So I do like this card. I do not advocating first picking it because it's got a pretty narrow range of uses, but let's talk about that range because that's what's interesting about it. In my second draft at the Pro Tour, I saw one of these third in a pretty weak pack, but I took it because I already had a Lightning Axe, and what I'm trying to do when I'm drafting Fevered Visions is draft a blue-red a tempo deck. So this card does a lot of things. First of all, it gives both players a lot of extra cards. And when both players are drawing 2 cards a turn, it changes the value of some effects in the game. Normally, bounce spells, like Just the Wind, right? 2 mana, bounce a creature. You're down a card when you cast that card because you didn't kill one of their cards, but you're usually up mana. You bounced a 4-drop or a 5-drop. All of a sudden, when both players are drawing 2 cards a turn, being down a card doesn't matter. Being up mana does matter a lot. So Fevered Visions really incentivizes bounce. Also, it puts the card back in their hand so they take 2 damage. The key to Fevered Visions is making sure the damage is relevant and that you can use the extra cards well. And the blue-red aggressive deck does that perfectly. So you're just looking for cheap creatures because cards that cost 2 or 3 mana are great. Cards that cost 4 or 5 mana, you just almost don't want in your deck. You'll play Voldaren Duelist, the 3/2 haste, because it's just such a good finisher. But card like Reduce to Ashes or Sleep Paralysis, those expensive removal spells are way worse than something like Ghostly Wings, which sounds counterintuitive. But I had 3 Fevered Visions in my deck. That's not the normal case. I'm not going to claim.
This might not happen for you.
Yeah, I would say do try this at home, but you might always have the opportunity to. But with even 1 or 2 Fevered Visions, I've had 2 before, because no one else seems to want them. Only one deck at the table, if maybe 0 wants them. Cards like Ghostly Wings become amazing. Ghostly Wings, not only can you put it on your own creature and just beat down, you're aggressive, you can also, paying 2 cards to bounce their creature, still fine. You're drawing 2 cards a turn. It's frequent to have 7 or 8 cards in your hand at the end of your turn with Fevered Visions in play, especially if you play it on turn 3. So just prioritize cheap removal, cheap bounce, cheap creatures, cheap everything, and try to tempo your opponent out.
You talked about Madness cards. I've seen a couple times with these Fevered Vision decks being able to discard to hand size and madnessing a Fiery Temper or Adjust the Wind or a Nagging Thoughts or something like that, where you're like, okay, well, I'll discard this. And
yeah, that definitely sometimes happens. Also, this deck naturally wants the Madness enablers like Ravenous Bloodseeker and Insolent Neonate, so you end up with, cards like Fiery Temper, Just the Wind in your deck are perfect anyway, and then Fevered Vision sometimes just like draw, all right, discard Madness. Like, to put things in perspective, I didn't play Pore Over the Pages in my deck, despite that being a card I think is very good. And instead, I played Ember Eye Wolf, a card which I really don't like at all. Partially it was my draft didn't go great, but partially it was I would rather have any card that affects the board over a 5-mana draw spell, even though it untaps 2 lands. You just don't want more draw when you have Fevered Visions.
All right. If you have Fevered Visions, listen to this man. He knows what to do. He went 2-1 with the deck.
I did.
And it wasn't a great draft for you. You can watch it in the draft viewer.